Back, guys. So in this video, we're gonna finally start adding in some routes for our client. We're gonna add React router. So first, we need to open up our application, which is MERN boat. And then before we close out, or before we go into the terminal or the IDE, we're gonna start the Mongo server. So mongod. And there we go. And let's just full screen this. And that is cool, but I don't really care about the update at the moment. And then once we're in here, we're gonna start our application. So both servers, start. I would rather have it on this side. And then let's open up a second terminal so that we can actually use our terminal for work. So exit everything, and it looks like I didn't commit, so let's do that really quick. So git status, git add everything, git commits, and what did we do in the last video? Added auth component. Okay, cool. With that out of the way, let's start including some stuff. So let's close all these folders to get rid of some noise. So what do we need? We need to install React router DOM, and make sure to use this particular package because React router comes in different versions, as React is also used for native clients, so mobile applications, and that will use a different React router. So let's add that. Let's check our package JSON. React router DOM should be in here. I added it to the wrong directory. Alright, so let's just kill node modules here. So remove rm-rf node modules as well as the package JSON. Be careful with this command because it can, if you're not careful, you can delete a lot more stuff than you want to. And we actually want React router in our client directory, so let's go in there. And let's run the same command. So install React router DOM. And there we go. Our package JSON is updated, and I believe that's all we need for now. So let's get this set up. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm actually going to use the containers directory for the actual structure of our app. So instead of the traditional sense of containers being all the components connected to Redux, just because I think it's a little cleaner and a lot less redundant. So React router, what do we need for React router? First we need to import it, and I'm gonna add it here on this line. Import from React router DOM. And there are actually two different routers that you can use. You can use the hash router, but we're going to use the browser router for this. And I am going to alias it as router just to make it a little easier. And then this is a React component, so we just drop it in here, like so. Router. close the tab, and I believe we still need a div, but I don't want to use a div here because it's going to get a little messy, so I'm going to use the fragment that we used earlier. So there we go, and then make sure that we destructure the fragment. Fragment comes from React. Everything works fine, and then let's quickly go over what the hash router and the browser router is. So if we go in here, the hash router makes all of our routes live after the hash, and then the browser router just has all of our routes after the slash. That's basically it. I mean, not to get too into it. And then that is going to be the basics of our app. And we're going to start a different container. So clear. And we're going to make, not make directly, touch 2 files in containers. So source containers. We're going to make a route views.jsx component, as well as a containers Navbar.jsx. Let's open up both of these. So the route views is going to be how we're going to display all of our routes. So it's gonna look at the URL, check what's happening after the slash, and then put in the correct route or view that's supposed to be displayed. And then our navbar is just navigation to access all of our routes without changing our URL directly, just to make things a little easier for us. So I think we're gonna start with the route views. So it's gonna be a stateless component. So we're just gonna import React from React const route views equals component. And for now, we're gonna just do a simple div. Make sure to close our component, and then export default route views. And just to test if things work, we're just gonna do this. We're gonna put something in the div and say route works. And then did I do something wrong? Yes, I did. There we go. And let's import it into our main application. I'm gonna put it down here. So import route views from /route views. And that's gonna be right here. So route views, close tab, and then our route works. Cool. And then we also want to do the same with our navbar. So in our navbar, it's also going to be a stateless component. React from React const navbar equals, and to test things out again, we're going to just say navbar works div and export defaults navbar, and then we're going to put it on the top. Make sure we close our thing, and navbar works. Alright, cool. So now we just need to add logic to these two things to actually make it do stuff. And actually I'm going to take the these two out, so the auth component and the error message, because we're actually going to use it in its own page. So it's going to be an authentication page, which will redirect you to the home page once you're logged in. So now that they're outside of this file, then we can get rid of it here. And let's do the basic logic of the route views. Yeah, let's do that. So how does this work exactly? Well, basically, you're gonna need a couple things from React Router DOM. Import from React Router DOM. We're gonna need the switch component, the route component, and do I need the? That's enough for now. Okay, so just for HTML5 purposes, we're actually going to be using the main tag instead, and it's going to be a little long, so let's make sure we wrap it in parentheses. So, oh, thank you. Okay, so what basically happens in React Router is everything lives inside of a switch component, like so. And the switch is basically an if-else that checks the URL. So, God, something in my throat. I'm gonna be right back. I need water. Okay, I'm back, and hopefully I'm not dying anymore. So that's great. Anyway, so as I was saying, the switch component is basically an if-else statement, a lot like the JavaScript switch statement. It's gonna check the URL, and then on each possible URL, it will render the specific route. Now, route takes a couple parameters. For this, it's gonna take the path. so the first one is gonna be @/, which is the root path, the one that you're most accustomed to, basically the home page. And then it's gonna have a render component or render prop that takes in a component. So using this, the switch will check the URL, and then what happens after the URL, it'll render whatever component you pass in. Now, what if you want to send props down to the component? Well, you could just do the arrow function like this, and then in here, send in props. So for now, we're gonna do a specific route. So in here, it's gonna be routes, and path is gonna be /login, and it is gonna render equals the component of the auth component, where the auth component will actually take in the login path for, I believe I called it auth type, and we're just gonna call it login. Make sure we close our route, and then another route, path equals register, render equals the auth component once again, with the auth type register. And make sure we close our route. Okay, so hopefully that's not too confusing, but this is how we could reuse the same auth component that where it just changes the type of authentication that's happening based on the URL path. So just to make sure this works, we're gonna save. Auth is not. Oh yeah, we have to import the auth component for this. Import auth from // components / auth. Save. Everything works good. So as you can tell, nothing's being rendered in the here because we're at the wrong route. So if we go to login, it is still not rendering. I wonder why. React. Routes, route views, switch, router, routes, location, / login. Oh. We are not in Angular, so I actually need to include the slash here. And then, just to be safe, we're gonna add the exact prop, which will check the exact path. So when you, the exact is helpful for when you have IDs. So things like path equals slash poll slash ID. It doesn't overwrite this one slash poll because technically both of these have poll in it and they kind of match. So if you add the exact, you never have to worry about that issue. So check it, and there we go. The login component, the auth component renders at this path, and then at this path, it doesn't. So that's good. Let's make sure the register is also working. All right. So HTML4 is this one, since I actually forgot. 4 is a reserved word in JavaScript, so you need to use HTML4 instead. And that'll get rid of that error. Password. Autocomplete. Right. That's also another small fix that we could add right now. And it is simply to add into here. So here, just gonna add it right here after the name property. So auto complete equals to auth. I believe that'll get rid of that. All right, cool. So no more errors. And let's see. Oh yeah, and then to test this, there shouldn't be an error to log in as something that doesn't exist. So let's do hi. Just password is password. There's an error here because this user doesn't exist. So we have to go to register. Register. So hi. Password. And I believe I submitted. Oh, okay, I submitted twice. That's bad. But we registered once. So set current user is hi. So everything's working just as we like. Now, we just need to actually make this a little smarter. So instead of adding just the one component, we want what's being rendered the entire web page for this route, not just the one component. And that's what this directory is for, the pages directory. And in there, we're gonna add a pages, and I believe I called it auth page.jsx. And then you're gonna notice that I'm gonna use the pattern of the whatever the name is followed by page. Yeah, I think it's just cleaner that way, so you don't mess up or you don't mix up auth with auth. But I realize that I've been naming things with overlapping names, so up to you, really. Um, so okay, the auth page is the most of these pages are gonna be really dumb, as they will only what's the word? Have the structure of the page, but it's gonna auth page equals, and then it's gonna have a. Actually, I want to check something, so we're gonna import redirect here. Redirect from React router DOM, and that means we have to open this up to have some logic before the return, which is just a div. And inside the div, we're gonna have the error message, as well as the auth component. Auth type equals whatever the auth type is being sent in. So we need to get the auth type, and then we want to redirect out of the the register or login page if the user is already logged in. Just for UX purposes, so we're gonna just do is authenticated. I hope I spelled that right. And you're just gonna return the redirect component. Redirect to /. So what's happening here is if the user's already logged in, we're gonna redirect them to the home page. Otherwise, we're gonna have the normal authentication page, so error message and auth. And in here, actually, I'm forgetting to import these things, so import, oh my god, auth from / components auth, and import error message from / components error message. So our auth page is complete. Our route views is not, however, because now instead of auth, we want the auth page, which is going to be here. And then make sure we added both of these, page, register, login. Okay, that looks about right. Oh, we also have to check if the user's already logged in, and that is coming from Redux. So a little extra stuff. We need to import connect to connect to our Redux store from React-Redux. And then with that, we also need the with router component. And of course it's gonna fail because stuff is not working. Can't resolve auth page. Right, page. Route views cannot resolve pages. / pages auth page JSX. Am I not? Oh, right. I did not export it. Export default auth page is authenticated is not defined. Okay, that is perfectly fine. We actually need it here. All right, cool. Back to our route views, and we just need to connect to the store. So basically, what you're used to, not auth, route views, and then the store is going to be taking in store. We're going to return the object auth to store.auth, which I believe is what we called it. Let's check really quick. In our reducer, auth is action type user. Let's check here actually. State auth, that's correct. All right. And you'll notice that I added the is authenticated here. And that is what we're going to be using in here. Or not here. In the route views. So we're getting the auth thing. What's this called? The auth property from our Redux store. And we're putting into the route views props. So with that, we could start to destructure here, and we just want the yeah, it's a little confusing. Let's see, what do we need? So we need to add the is authenticated property to both of these components. Is authenticated equals to auth dot is authenticated. Pretty simple. And don't worry about how it's being parsed right now, because I have Prettier installed, so it's making it, or it's separating into all these separate lines just to make it easier to read, which I don't know. Sometimes it makes JSX a little harder to read, in my opinion, but I don't know. You get used to it. So with all of that connected, you will notice that we have been redirected to the home page. So if we go to login, we're already logged in. It won't let us go there. But if we change the auth property, so for this we're gonna go into application, local storage. We're gonna clear local storage here, and then go to login, and we could log in here. But if we log in, username, password, we go to the home page. So our authentication is finally smart enough to do what we want it to. Also, let's check, clear all. Let's check if we have errors when we do, or when we're supposed to. So use name, and there's our error. And for now, it's not pretty. We're going to get to the design part at the way end, mostly because I don't find it all that fun to do, so I'll just do it as a last thing. Okay. So the next step is to actually make our navbar so that we could go to these different routes without changing the URL directly. And I'm going to do that in the next video. But you can see how you could just simply add components or page components to the switch for each particular route, and then this way you can have whatever pages you want. So like a home page. Later we're gonna add the polls page for individual charts. So ones with the ID and so on and so forth. Let's see, what did I miss? We also need the with router. We need to use the with router, higher order component, and I always forget where I'm supposed to put this. Do I put it here? Okay, so just to go over what with router does is we're putting on the very outside of the connect. So what it's doing is with router is letting Redux have access to the router state. So Redux finally has access to the path and the history object, and then Redux connects to our route views like this. So then it could, so then we have access to the global state that's being stored in our Redux store. Okay, that's a little long-winded, but yeah, I will see you in the next video where we will create our navbar and hopefully finish out all the components that is needed in our application. Okay.